I don't know how good he is because he hasn't really faced a real fighter yet. It's not his fault. He signed to fight Tommy Fury.
I don't know how good he is because he hasn't really faced a real fighter yet. It's not his fault, though. He was supposed to fight Tommy Fury, but things fell apart. Now Jake Paul is losing his mind after getting absolutely hammered by experts left and right. Honestly, it's the kind of meltdown you just can't look away from. This guy has been flooding Instagram for weeks, hyping himself up like he's about to be the one to retire Mike Tyson. Yeah, you read that right, retire a man who's been in the ring for over 40 years, which is literally double Jake's entire lifespan. But here's the problem, Jake, you're beating up on dudes who aren't boxers. They're not real fighters, and neither are you, not yet at least. The experts didn't hold back. Not a single one hesitated to call Jake out on his nonsense. They shredded him without mercy. And if you're somehow on Jake's side in this, you might want to rethink that, because it's about to get brutal. So why are all the experts suddenly roasting Jake Paul like he's the main course at a barbecue? Well, it all boils down to Jake's recent arrest at his vacation house. Yeah, it sent shock waves through the media. But let's be real, are we even surprised anymore? This guy practically breathes controversy. It's like his default setting. Sure, he got out on bail faster than he can tweet, but the real damage? Oh, that's to his already flimsy public image. If Jake thought he could sweep this one under the rug like one of his Twitter feuds, he's in for a massive wake-up call. And trust me, the experts wasted no time sinking their teeth into this mess. Every boxing analyst, fighter, and promoter who once gave him even an ounce of credibility is now just unloading on him. No one's rushing to his defense. There's definitely no let's give Jake the benefit of the doubt moment happening here. Nah, instead it's like everyone had their I told you so moment locked and loaded, just waiting for him to mess up. And boy, did he deliver. His arrest was just more proof that Jake Paul isn't serious about boxing. Everyone's been thinking it, but now this just seals the deal. It's like they were all sitting around waiting for him to slip up so they could finally say it out loud. Jake's whole boxing career is more of a side hustle to his chaotic, drama-filled life. Here's where it gets even worse for Jake. This isn't just a legal issue. This is about respect, or in Jake's case, the total lack of it. When the experts, the voices in boxing, don't even bother to stick up for you, that's when you know your reputation is on life support. Jake's arrest is the final nail in the coffin for anyone who ever took him seriously as a fighter. Oh, and the irony here, Jake has always thrived off attention and controversy. The guy lives for the drama. But now it's crystal clear that this time his antics have backfired in a way even he can't spin. Instead of being remembered for his knockouts or his wins, Jake's becoming the poster child for immaturity and lack of discipline. And who can roast better than Eddie Hearn? He didn't waste a single moment after Jake Paul's arrest to absolutely roast him. Seriously, it was brutal. Hearn, the guy who's been at the top of the boxing promotion game for years, has always been pretty vocal about Jake Paul's so-called boxing career. But after Jake's arrest, Hearn took things to an entirely new level. Hearn laid it all out there, no filter. In his eyes, Jake Paul is basically a wannabe with some wild delusions of becoming a boxing champion. I mean, Hearn didn't even sugarcoat it. He went straight for the jugular. And of course, he had to point out that Jake's constant shenanigans outside the ring are doing a fantastic job of sealing his fate. According to Hearn, all these antics from trash talking to getting arrested are throwing whatever credibility Jake thought he had as a boxer right into the dumpster. Coming from someone as well respected as Eddie Hearn, that's not something to take lightly. Hearn has worked with actual champions, fighters who've grinded for years to reach the top. To him, Jake's behavior is the total opposite of what it takes to make it to that level. Hearn even went so far as to compare Jake to boxers who spend their entire lives dreaming of becoming heavyweight champions but never get anywhere near it. He basically said Jake's dreams of being a boxing champ are just as ridiculous. And let's be real here, when someone of Hearn's stature says something like that, You have to take it seriously. This isn't just some random troll throwing shade on Twitter. This is Eddie Hearn, a guy who's seen it all in boxing, calling Jake's entire career a joke. But here's where it gets even juicier. Hearn wasn't just talking about Jake's skills, he took a shot at Jake's entire persona. According to Hearn, Jake's obsession with controversy, his immature behavior, and his arrest are proof that he's more interested in being a circus sideshow than a serious athlete. In Hearn's eyes, Jake's just a distraction, a loudmouth who will never make it to the top of the sport. And let's be honest, when Eddie Hearn is out here saying you'll never be a champion, that hits deep. Speaking of hits, Stephen A. Smith wasn't about to let Jake slide either. If you thought Hearn's takedown was rough, just wait till you hear what Smith had to say. And this was right to Jake's face, no less. Stephen A., the king of bluntness, looked Jake dead in the eye and straight up questioned his courage. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's stepping into the ring with a boxer this time, as opposed to a striker or somebody pretending to be a boxer. But Stephen A. wasn't letting him off that easily. He basically asked, "Why is Jake so dead set on fighting Mike Tyson of all people?" It's like Smith was voicing the question we were all thinking but hadn't said out loud. What in the world is Jake Paul doing going after one of the most dangerous boxers in history? Stephen A. knows athletes inside and out, so when he publicly questions Jake's decision-making, it's not just a casual jab. It's a full-on interrogation of Jake's entire approach to boxing. Smith made it painfully clear that Jake has never fought a legitimate boxer in his life. Yet here he is, chasing a fight with Mike Tyson. Come on now. Boxers like Nate Robinson were basketball players. Ben Askren came out looking like he didn't know what he was doing. Sure, he was successful in the UFC, but he wasn't a boxer. He was a grappler. And Jake? He had no solid response. No witty comeback. Just the same overconfident bravado we've all seen a million times. It's one thing to act tough, but when someone like Stephen A. Smith is questioning your courage to your face and you don't have a decent answer, you start looking like you're in way over your head. Smith wasn't done, though. He went even further, suggesting that Jake is seriously underestimating Tyson. And honestly, that's putting it lightly. We're talking about Mike Tyson here, a man whose power and aggression are still terrifying, even at his age. But Jake? Jake's acting like this is just another one of his casual, attention-grabbing fights. Smith pointed out the obvious. Jake is not ready for the level of destruction Tyson can dish out. And it's starting to look like Jake is way too caught up in his own hype to even see it. At this point, Smith's takedown only added to the mountain of doubt surrounding Jake. Sure, Jake won a few fights, but none of them were against real boxers. Now he thinks he can take on Mike Tyson? It's reckless, plain and simple. But Smith wasn't the only one raising an eyebrow. KSI wasn't about to let Jake off the hook either. KSI has never been one to hold back when it comes to Jake Paul